Good morning, students. How are you all? I'm very happy again to discuss this topic, that is spinal reflex action arc and the cerebral reflex action arc in form of flowcharts. So, first of all, spinal reflex action we will see, and how this is flowing. Reflex action, the immediate involuntary action in response to a stimulus, is the reflex action governed by the spinal cord mainly. And what is the route, the shortest possible route from the receptor to the effector taken by the impulse is the arc. So how does it flow here in the spinal reflex action? Stimulus to receptor. Stimulus is any change in the environment, internal or external, as you all know, which is also changing the activity of the organism. So this stimulus will be received by the receptor cells, which are what? Which are the bundle of epithelial cells very close to the nerve cells which are receiving the stimulus. So these receptor cells will convert this stimulus into an impulse, and this impulse will be carried by the sensory neuron. The neuron which is carrying this impulse received by the receptor cells is the sensory neuron, which is carrying the impulse to the center of the spinal cord. At the center of the spinal cord only it will be generated into a motor impulse, and here only it can be generated into a motor impulse or transmitted, or can be inhibited also, or can be regenerated. So these things can happen at the center because there are association neurons here. So when it is transmitted, this sensory impulse is transmitted, is generated into first of all generated into a motor impulse, and now it is transmitted by the motor neuron to the effector, which can be a muscle or can be a gland for its response. So this is the flow, students. You have to remember this, understand this. Now I am taking an example. Suppose there is a pinprick on the fingertip or any part of the hand. What will we do? Generally do, we remove the hand immediately. So what is the stimulus here? The pinprick is the stimulus. Receptor is the bundle of cells there at that point, which are receiving this stimulus, and then it is converting this stimulus into impulse. Then it is carried by the sensory neuron to the from the skin. It is being carried, this impulse is being carried from that spot where the pinprick has taken place. Now this sensory impulse is being carried by the sensory neuron to the center of the spinal cord. Now it is being generated into a motor impulse, and it is carried by the motor neuron to the effector, that is the muscles of the, in this case, that is the muscles of the fingers or the hand. So response is the immediate removal of hand. So this is the arc, students, of the spinal reflex action arc. I have explained it with an example also. And coming to the cerebral reflex action arc, which means the action, this reflex action is controlled by the brain. The organ which are involved are directly connected with the brain. So that is the cerebral reflex action, and the arc will be the shortest possible route taken by the impulse from the receptor to the effector. Will be how this arc will look like. So this will look like this. When we are, what will be the example? When we are exposed to strong light, our eyes are closed automatically. So here the stimulus is strong light, and the receptor cells are in the eyes which are receiving this strong light, and they are converting this into an impulse, and this sensation or the impulse is carried by the sensory neuron to the brain, to the medulla oblongata part of the brain, and here the generation of the motor impulse is taking place in the brain, and it is carried by the motor neuron back to the eye. So the effector is in the muscle, that is ocular muscle in the eye. As a result, the response will be, it will contract, and iris is there also, which will regulate the diameter and the size of the pupil. So there will be a minimum entry of light, and the eyes will be almost closed. So this will be the response. So this is the shortest possible route, the arc of the cerebral reflex action. So students, I think this has helped you in understanding this reflex action arc in terms of flowchart. So I am ending this topic here, and I wish you the very best in your exams. God bless you all. Thank you so much.